I got stuff for you.
Holy moly. I need to get some snakes and release them around my house.
But they love eating people. They love eating kids.
These guys are the scientists of the supernatural, lecturers leaving lessons for inquiring laymen. They are applying the scientific method to a world that baffles science. They are the cryptids of the corn.
Every day that you open your mouth,
I know, right?
I'm more convinced that you're abducted by aliens.
No.
And it just stood up. I mean, it just like kept going and going. And she goes, what the?
These are idiots.
I was laughing reading this because I already knew how you would feel.
Idiot. What part of the story fits your balloon?
Well,
This isn't a UFO. But who else has big black wings and red eyes?
Batman.
Oh, Mothman.
Oh, yeah, Mothman.
Well, everyone, I think we know exactly what it is. So say it all with me. It was the sandhill crane.
Would you try it?
No.
You wouldn't eat it?
No.
Why?
Because they're probably toxic. There'd be a lot of poop in my pants. I've seen a 6-foot alligator go swinging through the air and slam into a tree. Welcome back to this spooky episode of Cryptids of the Corn podcast. I am the great and spooktacular Mr. E.
And I'm J Clone 79. And quit it, lady. You're scaring us.
Happy Halloween, guys.
Happy Halloween.
Have fun out there. It's Halloween week. We're recording this and it's not anywhere close to Halloween.
But you know, the leaves are changing. The pumpkins are out.
Just this week.
Yeah.
It got cold and rainy. No, it's exciting. So we picked a special topic. We normally venture away from these things, but just for Halloween. But before we get to the special topic, you know, I got some stuff to talk about. You got anything to talk about?
I mean, I just you know, if you're new listening to the show, the only thing I got to say is, you know, I'm like you guys. I'm a listener of the show. I come here to learn. I come here, you know, never knowing what the topic of the day is going to be. So I'm learning right along with you, and I'm hoping I'm asking the important questions you guys want asked, and I hope everything's answered here.
I want to give a shout out to our new Patreon members.
Ooh, all right.
Vespilo Neon Barista, or I think.
Okay.
If I said that wrong, please message us. I'll redo
Barista.
it. Becky Pincher
Becky, welcome.
and Carl Henson.
And Carl, welcome. Welcome all of
guys.
you.
Welcome, guys.
We appreciate you. Welcome to the Corn Cult. I hope you enjoy your, you know, your extra episode each week and all the perks that
There's
come
a lot
along
of
with
stuff
it.
We do a lot.
Especially the
You gotta
twice
meet-
a month.
You get to meet Bob.
Bob.
The Bob.
Oh, yes, you do get to meet Bob in our Discord, and a national treasure, really, is what he is.
That is a fact. All right. I think I got one new review to read.
Ooh, all right. Exciting. Remember, if you leave a review, a five-star
Five-star
review, you know, not just even for this show, for Freaky Fauna Friday, or the show we produce, those guys over at DW Conspiracy Shack, leave all of us a review. Helps all the shows grow.
All right. This is from Cincinnati Domicile. Definitely worth your time. Hardest working duo, mucking it up in the corn, delivering information humorously, an entertaining audio compendium of cryptid and alien knowledge worthy of supplementation. United States of Cryptids, a tour of American myths and monsters. When not podcasting, you guys should catch these guys at a festival. From Gary.
Wow, thank you, Gary.
We just seen Gary. Well,
Is this the Gary?
yes.
Okay. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, it's Gary.
That's awesome. I appreciate it.
All right. Cons, the last thing we have for the year is Crypticon, and that's about a month away by the time this comes out. So we
Yeah.
hope to see you guys out there.
Yeah, Giorgio will be there.
Yeah, they got a lot of the Ancient Alien guys, a lot of the Skinwalker Ranch guys, and of course the Mountain Monsters crew.
Yeah.
So-
They're staple.
Well, Bill will be carrying me around again, I believe.
Hoorah!
Hoorah! Speaking of Crypticon, will be premiering my book.
Woo!
Living UFOs is the main title, but it's all about the organic UFOs we've been talking about all these years. It's got a bunch of just kind of breaking down the topic a little better in a written form with a bunch of sightings and just kind of our theories, and keep in mind it's our theories. But the whole point of the book is to kind of get the world thinking about some of these UFO sightings in a more organic living creature angle. So I hope new theories come out. You know, there's going to be more that aren't with us, and that's good.
You just need to open your mind.
We've been getting some stuff in the P.O. Box. It's at P.O. Box 75, Ada, Ohio, 45810. It's down below in the description. So you want to send us anything, send it there.
Yeah,
we
please
appreciate
do.
it. We got some really cool stuff recently.
We love getting like art and letters and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
My last thing before we get into the topic, because this episode may be a little long, is if you have a crazy hometown legend, I can't tell you what the project's for, but if you have like a crazy hometown legend with a cryptid or a ghost or anything like that, send us an email, send us a message for a special project in the works.
Crypts of the Corn podcast at
gmail.com.
Yep.
Or, yeah, if you have to use the Instas or the Facebook, I will, I guess, answer. But it takes forever. The Instagram takes forever.
Just email's the easiest.
Email's the easiest. All right. Ready?
Yep.
So you do not remember what this episode's about?
I don't.
We talked about it about a month ago.
I know I will right when you say it.
Bad boards.
Bad boards?
Yeah. The Ouija.
Oh, no wonder why I forgot.
So we're gonna do the
great.
history of the Ouija board first.
Oh.
And then we'll do some encounters. And I want to make it very clear. This thing should not exist. You should never mess with this. I don't care if you're a paranormal investigator. I don't care if you think it's good, bad. I'm telling you, you should not ever, ever, ever mess with this thing. You do not
Ouija
know what
boards.
is talking to you on the other side.
Right.
Well, it's horrible. But yeah, I have stories to prove it.
So, yeah, Ouija boards should be outlawed at all slumber parties.
Let's get into some of the history with them, because I think that's one thing that gets left out a lot. The Ouija board, also known as Ouija, also known as the Ouija board, the spirit board, the talking board, or its first name, the witch's board,
Oh, perfect.
is a flat board marked with the letters in the Latin alphabet, the numbers 0 through 9, and yes or no, and the occasional hello, goodbye, depending on what version of the board you have, which you shouldn't have any of them. Along with various symbols and graphs. It has, how do you say that word, a planchette? I think that's how it's said.
Oh, the little handpiece?
Yeah. I have it right here, right in front of me. It's planchette.
Okay.
I believe it's how it's pronounced. It's a small heart-shaped piece of wood or plastic as movable indicators to spell out the message during a seance.
Yeah.
Participants placed their finger on the planchette and it moved about the board to spell out a word. The name Ouija is a trademark of
Native Americans?
Hasbro,
Oh, no.
inherited from the Parker brothers.
I'm sorry, Native Americans. I don't know.
What did you think?
I think, isn't there a tribe called the Ojibwe?
The Ojibwe, yeah, but it's spelled nothing like
I know,
it.
but when you're saying it, that's what's popping in my
I
head.
guess you kind of just sound like the
So,
Ojibwe.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Native Americans.
O's and J's in weird spots, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's Hasbro. They inherited it from the Parker brothers.
Oh, wonderful.
But it's often used as a generic term to refer to any of the talking boards.
Yeah.
So Ouija board specifically is a Hasbro product.
An idea or a thought, and a name.
A trademark.
So there's got to be something before it.
Yes.
What was the name before, though?
I just told you the witch's board was the original name.
That was what it was always called
The
throughout.
witch's board, then the talking board, then the spirit board.
So they coined Ouija.
Yes.
Wonder what Ouija means.
I didn't want to look into it, but let's talk about spiritualism in the United States believed that the dead were able to contact the living. And reports were used talking boards, very similar to modern day Ouija boards. And their camps in
Oh my gosh.
Ohio.
No.
During the 1886, when inherit the enabling faster communication with spirits. So there's all of these like camps and stuff like that. But the first actual board we can kind of really find came from Ohio in 1886.
No wonder why there's all this crazy weird stuff in Ohio.
Yeah. Where they basically, the seances and stuff, they use their boards to have faster communication with spirits.
Right. I can almost imagine, though, that it actually started in West Virginia. Someone from Ohio stole it, and then it became public, because that's where all the weird stuff happens.
Following the commercial patent by businessman Elijah Bond being passed on February 10th of 1891, the Ouija board was regarded as an innocent parlor game, unrelated to the occult until American spiritualist Paul Curry popularized it as a divining tool during World War I. So it was first, this guy, it was just a board, as far as we can kind of tell, came from Ohio.
Yeah. A parlor trick.
A talking board.
Yeah.
There's witches boards before that, and they kind of, same idea, so it's hard to say if it's two different people kind of having the same idea or if it's kind of the evolution of one thing.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know. But Elijah Bond seen it, and he trademarked it. He patented it. Then it just was a parlor game to talk to ghosts.
Yeah.
No connection to the occult until World War I.
Ain't that crazy, though? Like, it's something that's still used today. And, people even now today don't believe in, I don't want to say the other side, but just like what else is out there.
Yeah, no, I think the line is even harder today. So I think back 50, 100 years ago, there was much more of a gradient where I may not believe in Bigfoot, but I believe in ghosts.
Okay. Today,
It seems like it's all or nothing.
Right, yeah.
A little more.
All that stuff's real, or it's almost like that with everything now.
That's what I'm saying. It's today's culture is all or nothing, where it's hard to pick and choose. Like, you're all Republican, you're all Democratic, you're all ghost, or nothing's real.
Yeah, there's no nuance. There's nothing in between. No gray area.
So paranormal and supernatural beliefs associated with Ouija have been criticized by the scientific community and characterized as pseudoscience. The actions of the board can be most easily explained by unconscious movements of those controlling the pointer, as parapsychology phenomenon, also known as the idiom effect or idiometer effect, which is just saying that if you're in this group doing the Ouija or seance, you're all kind of in a conscious space doing it, so you all kind of want it to happen.
Right, yeah.
Kind of like the base event, like the base thing of talking about manifestation.
Okay.
But, you're physically doing it, It's Becky is pushing a little bit towards yes with Sally and stuff. It's always girls in the movies.
I know.
It's always, because I guess
time.
guys are getting out, being drunk and stupid, burning a tree down.
Yeah, it doesn't work as well.
Girls are always at the house doing something.
Right, slumber parties.
80s movies.
Oh, the best. They don't make them anymore. They just really don't.
They don't. But I don't know. So far, yeah. Mainstream Christian denominationists, including Catholics, have warned against the Ouija board, considering their use as satanic practices, while other religion groups hold it as the lead of demonic possession. Occultists, on the other hand, have divided on the issue, which some claim it as a tool for positive transformations, and while others basically warn, to give the same warning of Christians, a caution of inexperienced users against it.
Okay.
So occultists are kind of split on it, and this is the broadest sense of what we're talking about.
Yeah, but I actually agree with the Catholics for once on this one.
Very rare.
Don't mess with them. Don't mess with Ouija boards.
Don't mess with them. I have the etymology of the word too.
Where it came from?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
A popular belief in the word Ouija comes from the French ou and the German J, or Ouija, which is yes, is a misconception. In fact, the name was given for the word spelled out on the board when the medium, Helen Northworth, asked the board to name itself.
And it said Ouija.
We asked what the word meant, and it responded with good luck. So there's this French, some people think it's this French-German word combination, which is, I don't want to have what the French translation is, but the German word is yes, yeah.
Well,
Ouija.
We in French is yes.
So yes, I guess, it'd be yes. But Helen Nosworthy, I think is how it's pronounced, asked it for the name itself, and it spelled out Ouija. And then when she asked what it meant, it said good luck.
Good luck finding out. Does it actually mean just good luck? Are you gambling with life?
That'll be the last time I think I'm going to try to not say it anymore. I think I'm just going to go with bad board.
Okay. Well, I think you're also slightly mispronouncing it, so it's working. You're safe.
Well, I just don't care. Do you want some more history?
Yeah.
So, persecutors. One of the first mentions of the automatic writing method used by this board was found in China. Sorry, predecessors. I can't read.
Oh, okay.
In China, around 1100 AD.
There was a lot of stuff in China. Like
China's a big country with many, many cultures.
a lot of history. Yeah.
Anyways, in historical documents of the Song dynasty, as I believe how it's pronounced, the methods are known as Fuji,
Okay.
which is weird because it's almost spelled the same as
Ouija.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like they got it.
from
We ripped it off from China.
which is also known. It basically translates roughly to planchette writing.
Well, that would make a lot more sense.
The use of the planchette writing as an observable means of necromancy in communication with the spirit world continued. So this is considered a form of necromancy, just so you know.
Necromancy is raising the dead?
Doing anything with the dead like this.
Okay.
So that's like the D&D necromancy is raising the army of the dead.
Right, yeah.
This is a form of asking the dead questions.
Working with the dead.
Abide under specific rituals and supervisions was the central practice of the Huazin school until it was forbidden in the Qin dynasty.
Okay.
So made it for several dynasties.
I'm assuming, too, like, Chinese, their dynasties are what is it, determined by the rulers?
Yeah.
Like, if it's the Qin dynasty, it was because he was in power.
I don't know if it's him or his family.
Or just
I
his
don't know.
family?
I don't know.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Either way, though,
Whenever the last name changed,
then it's a new
because
dynasty.
if he kept having boys, the name would.
Continue on.
But if he had a girl and had to marry obviously another noble.
Right, yeah. Oh, of course. Never with just the common folks.
So talking boards, a part of the spiritual movement, mediums began to employ various means of communication with the dead. From the American Civil War in the United States, mediums began the significant business in allegedly allowing survivors to contact their lost relatives.
Okay.
I have never been able to stand any of these people.
And what do you mean they're helping people?
And we've had friends and stuff and talked about this. There may be people out there that can do it for real.
Yeah.
90% of the time, it is taking advantage
I think so, too.
of people in very desperate situations, like you lost your son
Yeah.
in the American Civil War,
And you're very, if you,
or your cousin, or
oh, yeah, anybody.
you're
close
just
to you.
searching for some kind of closure,
Yeah.
right?
And
then they're charging a premium.
yeah.
I've talked about the one I seen in Michigan working, and literally it was doing like the classic of like, I'm getting a J.
Right.
You
Most
know.
common names.
Oh yeah, my dad was Jim.
Right, yeah.
All right, well your dad says he loves you.
Right.
Whatever.
He's safe now.
The use of talking board was so common by 1886 that news report of the Fauna taking over spiritualism camps in Ohio.
Wow.
So it spread through Ohio like wildfire. And the board was named in 1890 in Baltimore, Maryland by a medium, Helen Noseworthy, where she asked it what its name was. But yeah.
It reminds me of, you've ever seen the movie Ghost?
Yes, with the clay, right?
Yes. Yeah. So Whoopi is in that, Oda Mae Brown, but she does that where she's like scamming people. But turns out, like when Patrick Swayze, he goes to her and finds her, she can actually hear him, and she's like more shocked than the people. And she's like thinking something's going on, but no, she's actually communicating to the dead now. And before, she was just doing the scam thing. Like she was just a parlor trick, but then it actually, she can do it. Yeah, no, just made me think of that.
So I promise we're going to get some stories of why you should never do this.
Oh, yeah.
But I found some scientific investigations
Okay.
into the board itself. The phenomenon is considered by the scientific community, which, to be fair, everything we've talked about by the scientific community, generally speaking, is probably considered a pseudoscience.
For sure.
But yes, it's considered pseudoscience. Michael Farnaday first described the effect in 1853, which is, he's talking about the idiomotor or idiometer response, which is that group kind of think.
Where it's moving the thing by itself.
It's the group's doing it.
Right, yeah.
So the group has responded. When I was reading about it, the best way I can describe it is that it's kind of real in the aspect that no one person's doing it, but all participants have kind of subconsciously agreed that this is real. And this is what the word means. I'm not saying what I think. I'm saying what the word means.
Right.
That all participants have kind of agreed this is real, and they kind of subconsciously move it. So when one comes out and say, I wasn't moving it, and I wasn't moving it.
Right.
In this conscious part of the brain, they're probably telling the truth.
Right.
where they really believe that they weren't moving it, even though they probably were.
But subconsciously, collectively, they were. Yeah.
They all want it to be real.
Right. Yeah.
So subconsciously they're making it happen. So Michael first described this effect in 1853 while investigation tub turning.
Tub, like TUB,
Yeah, or no,
like
sorry,
bathtub.
table turning.
Okay, table turning.
Where
Okay,
the table would stand up and swing.
now tub turning would be a lot cooler.
Everybody was saying they were so excited for Tired Justin episodes, and it's gotten worse since they were born.
Oh yeah.
Well, Atlas is sick and teething, and Winter demands to be held,
Yeah.
and she screams every second she's fine,
Oh yeah. I was
just-
here last week when
and it's like a
screaming.
banshee.
Yeah, and then
You pick her up, and she's like
immediately
yeah,
stops,
smiling.
smiles. Yeah.
just want to be held. Various studies have been concluded reacting that the effects of the Ouija board in labs have shown that under laboratory conditions, the subjects were moving the planchette involuntarily.
Okay.
So that's saying that there was something to it under lab circumstances.
Yeah.
In 2012, a study found that when they answer yes or no questions, the board was significantly more accurate than guesswork.
Okay.
So basically, how this kind of I can kind of break it down a little more for you. Like, let's say they're asking each of these small groups 100 questions. Mm-hmm. They did it in control groups where they had, let's say, 4 people in there, and they're asking not anything like scientific equations or anything like that, but hard questions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so most of the time you have to guess to get the answers. And yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Mm-hmm. The board was more accurate than most of the control groups.
Interesting.
So they're saying that scientifically there is some margin there. It's not in the margin of error. So there's something happening there. They can't say what it is, but they're saying that there's something actively going on.
It's a result.
Yeah, which is interesting. Suggesting that might draw from an unconscious mind even is what the lab was thinking.
This means something. This is important.
Well, the zeitgeist, is it pulling, is this a way that these humans are all thinking that they're talking to something, but they're actually just using each other?
Right.
They're pulling into the zeitgeist. The evidence has described the board as using its operators. Some critics have noted that the message occasionally spelled out by the spirits were similar to whatever was going through the minds of the subject. According to Professor of Neurology Terence Haynes, in his book Pseudosciences and the Paranormal of 2003, which I got to get that book, the planchette is guided by the unconscious muscular extrusions, which is responsible for the table movements. Nonetheless, in both cases, the illusion of the object table or the planchette is moving under its own control is often extremely powerful and significant enough to convince many people that spirits are truly at work. The unconscious muscle movements are responsible for the moving of the table or the board, phenomena seen in seances as example of the class of phenomena due to the psychologists calling it dissociative states. So it's that same kind of thing, they're hammering it back, is that basically nobody's lying when they're saying they're not moving it, but they are moving it.
Okay.
Kind of deal. And that's the easiest way I can break down some of these studies.
Is it like that thing, where they do the light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board?
It could be where it's, I know a little bit about that. I just can't remember it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it, but I've heard people get lifted up.
But this is a dissociative state is when consciousness is somehow divided or cut off from some other aspects of normal cognitive ability, motors, or sensory functions. So that's it's just saying that the subconscious and the conscious can be operating at the same time,
right,
not in tandem with each other.
Okay.
That's how you can be moving it and not realize you're moving it.
Makes sense.
And it's more because you're all agreeing, like this state. We're all agreeing this is real. We're all agreeing that we're going to do this.
It's like when you're busy, talking to someone and you set your phone down somewhere, and then 2 minutes later you go to grab your phone, you're like, well, where the heck is it? I just had it. Your subconscious sat it down, but your conscious has no idea where the heck you left it.
But that's it for a lot of the big studies.
Horrible analogy.
But there's tons and tons of smaller studies, all kinds of stuff from, like I said, from 1901 to still going on today.
Today, yeah.
I'm going to skip over a lot of the religious responses. Pretty much every Christian group has come out and said it was bad.
Yeah.
A lot of occult groups have come out and said it's bad. A lot of Jewish, the Jewish people have come out and said it's bad. I'm just going through, like, there's just a, like,
Of the religious sects.
500 things.
How bad?
Even a lot of occultist groups say, hey, this is really bad. Don't mess with it. Or they say that some of these occultist groups will say that, hey, we use it, but you got to be trained. It's kind of like giving a kid a gun in their explanation.
Yeah, it's not
It's
good.
an extremely powerful weapon.
Not good.
Yeah. But yeah. Any questions so far?
No, not quite yet. I have some for later, but...
My last thing before we take our ad break is we're going to talk about the man of evil himself. Didn't he say? I think he said he was the evilest man in the world for a minute.
Aleister Crowley?
Yes.
Crowley?
Crowley, however you say
It's
it.
one or the other. As in the Ozzy song, it's Mr. Crowley.
He had great admissions for the use of this board and played a passing role in his magical workings. Jane Wolfe, who lived with him at the time in the Abbey of Thelma, I think it's how it's said, also used the board very often. She credits some of her greatest spiritual communications to the use of this implement. Crowley also discussed the board with another one of his students. The most adamant of such was Father Arcachad Charles Stanford Jones is his birth name.
Okay.
Father Arcachad. I wish Joel was here. He'd be like, oh,
he would know
He'd tell you a
immediately.
book about that guy real fast. It's frequently mentioned in their unpublished letters. In 1917, Arcachad experimented with the board as a means of summoning angels and opposed to elementals. And here's what he told. The board experiment is rather fun. You see how very satisfactory it is, but I believe things improve greatly with practice. I think you should keep it to one angel and make the magical preparations more elaborate. Over the years, both became so fascinated by the board, they discussed making their own design. Their disclosure accumulated in a letter dated 21st February 1919. And here's what Crowley tells Jones. The board, I offer the basis of the 10% of the net profit. You are, if you accept this, responsible for the legal production of these ideas and the marketing and the copyright designs. I trust that this may be satisfactory to you. I hope you let the materials in the course of a week. In March, Crowley wrote to Arcachad to inform him, I think up another name than the original board. But their business venture never came to fruition. Okay. So they were literally getting ready to launch their own design.
Their own Ouija board.
Their own board.
A Crowley edition.
Yeah.
Imagine how much money that'd be worth today.
If you could find it, it would be worth the most.
It would be at Zach Bale's Paranormal Museum.
And then he'd destroy it.
Yeah, well, then the whole place would probably catch on fire.
Didn't he destroy that? I don't even care. I don't care. But yeah, any questions about that? So that's kind of been the brief history of the bad boards.
Yeah. I thought, too, I didn't realize, I'm shocked that Hasbro, I think that's who you said it was.
Yeah. So
came up with the Ouija name.
It was the brothers first.
Yeah, the Parker brothers.
Parker brothers.
Yeah.
And they trademarked it.
Still,
yeah.
Okay. So they may not have invented the name, but they trademarked it.
Yeah, because
legally they invented it.
Let's see. They gave the credit to one of the users, Helen Nosworthy.
Oh,
she was a medium. She's the one that got, and that's kind of a hearsay story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hearsay stories anytime you're dealing with a cult because a lot of the information doesn't sneak out.
No, that's
so when you
close to the vest.
Yeah. So with Aleister's stuff and any of it, if anybody hasn't heard anything from Joel, go listen. A lot of work on Aleister Crowley. Mm-hmm. But a lot of this stuff is hidden, never published, and it's, the occult workings are weird.
Oh, very, yeah.
Anything before we go to an ad break?
I'm hungry.
Are you?
Yeah.
How hungry?
Oh, anything with some garlic on it sounds great right now.
Who's our spookiest guy? Let's see. You ready?
Yeah. Hey, we're down here at Mel's Hole and Justin? Justin? Where'd you go?
Help! I'm falling down the hole!
You fell down Mel's Hole?
Yes, I keep falling. And I think I'm going to be falling for a really, really long time.
Oh, no. How long till you have enough time for me to get a rescue crew?
I think I do, but I'm really hungry, and I found a dead tumor seal as I was falling. But it looks absolutely disgusting. Do you have anything to help?
I think I have just the thing. Here, let me toss down a couple of bottles of Flavors of the Forest Bigfoot Breath.
Really, really chuck them so they catch up.
Here it comes, 1. And 2.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to eat this tumor seal now with flavors of the forest. Where could other people get this amazing product to cook their own tumor seal?
You can get this wonderful, amazing, tasty product at flavorsforest.com/corn. Add it to anything and it will make your food taste delicious.
I couldn't think of anything spookier than Mel's Hole.
That's pretty, or tumor seal.
Or tumor seal.
That's-
delicious tumor seal.
I might have tossed up that might have been my Halloween costume. Is a
Huh?
tumor seal.
Why didn't you do it?
I don't know yet. I mean,
Mine's the best.
oh, I know yours is. I can't wait. If you haven't seen our Halloween, is this post Halloween or pre?
This is the week of Halloween, so it's pre-Halloween.
Okay, so join our Patreon. You'll see a picture of Mystery and his whole family for the best Halloween costume
We better win at the bowling alley.
for the year. I think you might have a shot.
All right, so we're gonna get into some encounters or run-ins with the
Experiences.
the bad board. I have one for you before I get into all of these. One I heard, I think it was on Derek's show, Monsters Among Us, which if you haven't heard it, awesome call-in show. Another Ohio boy. He's from Eastern Ohio, but he went to school here in Bowling Green, like right up the road from
Oh
us.
wow. Okay.
But he lives, I think, Colorado now. He lives out in the mountains
Oh
now.
cool.
But Derek's another Ohio boy. That was probably my first big podcast. Derek's and Shannon's, Into the Fray, or probably the 2 podcasts I started with.
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out.
Pioneers.
They were. I mean, seriously. But basically, I guess I got 2 funny stories. The one was a Vine type video, and he's like, "My little sister, keep in mind his little sister's like 16, he's like 20. He's like, her and her friends are in her room, and they got one of the boards, and Mom had told him told him not to buy it, not to do anything with it, and they did it, and I'm supposed to be at home, staying just kind of in the house while they're having a party. So he's like, they're up in their room playing with it right now. So he put his I think his girlfriend's phone on the windowsill outside, so he could hear what they were saying.
Okay.
And when they asked it a question, he went to the main breaker and flipped the lights on and off once, and they all went, and they asked another question, and he just started slamming them on and off, and they started screaming and running through the house.
Yeah.
Other one was, oh gosh,
Setting yourself up there.
yeah. The other one was, they kept throwing the board away, and it kept ending up back in the closet, and they couldn't remember. Like, I can't remember. He always thought it was his sister up for a long time until she moved out and it was still doing it. Every time the family would throw away the board, it would come right back. He's like, the one time I ripped it up and it was back in the closet normal.
That's weird.
Yeah. But it was the one his mom was always using for stuff, and he had weird feelings about his mom with like the occultic stuff.
Oh gosh.
So he thinks it was like something his mom was using for stuff.
So she was fixing it, or something was?
No, he was thinking because it was such an active use.
Ah, okay.
It was like a living board.
Yeah. Huh. No, that just goes to show maybe this is.
To me, it blows my mind. I just made sure. I had just in Walmart 2 days ago, and they were still there.
They're still selling them. Of course, they're selling them. I'm sure
They
they're
got
on
the
sale.
fancy ones now.
I'm sure they're on sale at Amazon, like right now. Like
To be fair to Amazon, you can buy everything on Amazon.
I know, but I'm saying I bet you they're on sale because they want you to like.
But this isn't like the kids section, the toy section.
Ain't
and the
that
boards.
nuts?
Yeah.
Like little kids, they don't know what the heck they're getting themselves into.
No, it's and we'll talk at the end. We're going to talk a lot about that.
Yeah,
The contracts.
that first story you told me with the flipping the breakers. There's that Whitest Kids You Know skit. I think I played for you, right?
Probably.
So he's like a demon. There's little kids playing with the Ouija board. I mean, it's a skit. They're all grown men dressed as little kids, like
I
playing,
do remember.
like they're like little girls, and they're like, oh, and they're saying the dumbest questions for it. So basically, the Ouija board, summons a demon that moves the thing for them. Yes or no, and they're asking like dumb questions, and the demon's getting all. He's like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "You have a powerful demon here, and you're asking if Bobby's going to take you to the dance." And then the very final question was like, "Are Bobby and I going to get married and have like 23 kids together?" And he's like, "Oh, thank goodness! Like, there's no way. I'm 23." And he looks, and the answer is yes. He's like, "What? 23? No way!" So he just picks up the board and starts shaking it around, like, ooh, and they all freak out because it's floating around, moving. They just all run away. He's like, finally, that'll get him to quit asking their questions. And then he gets in trouble. He moved to Magic 8-Ball duty. He gets punished.
Magic 8-Ball duty.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So I did this a while ago, this script for this. I'm pretty sure this is a content warning moving forward for this first story.
Uh-oh.
It's not great,
Well, let's hear it.
but the story is weird. So a woman and her daughter recently tried to contact their dead dog with one of these boards.
A dog?
Yeah, well, listen, the dog didn't die nice.
Oh, no.
The dog had recently been killed and horrendously dismembered by her husband,
Oh, my gosh.
who believed it had been possessed by the Ouija board.
So they're using the Ouija board.
The daughter and mom used the board. The dog went, as far as the husband tells, went nuts. And then he killed it and he dismembered it.
Oh, my gosh.
And then they started using the board again to talk to the dog. So that's where we're at.
Oh, wonderful.
The woman told her neighbors that the board warned them that they were all about to die.
Yeah, because you're using a Ouija board.
The next morning, their house caught fire, and the woman who was the woman survived, but she was severely injured.
Oh, my gosh.
What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's awful. I mean, don't use Ouija boards. What do you think started that fire?
So I'll give into the full story, but it was just horrible.
Yeah.
That was like the headline.
Man.
Oh yeah. 1 second. Talk for a minute.
Well, I'm just wondering what happened. Did the Ouija board catch on fire? Was it an electrical short? Is there even an explanation?
It was actually a fire elemental.
Well, what did the fire department say?
A fire elemental.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
So this sad, mysterious tale began in. Oh gosh, we're gonna get emails again. It's England. Okay, so.
Oh, about pronouncing it wrong.
Ledgate, as I'm pretty sure it's pronounced.
Just pour some salt and vinegar on it, and it'll be fine.
Ledgate, England, on Christmas Eve, when Paul Carroll and his wife Margaret, I can never, were using the board for a seance. Paul believed that a bad spirit had entered their dog Molly, a Bedlington Terrier, and cast a fatal spell on her. So he drowned the dog.
Oh my gosh.
Before burying Molly the dog, he dismembered her in order to remove the ID microchip. Is what he said later. The dog was in many pieces.
Well, you forgot where he put it.
Well, he may not have been there when the vet put it in. There's several locations. The back strip is one, but I've seen them in arms and butts too. Like,
I guess that's the only way to find out.
and you see how tiny?
Aren't they like the size of a piece of rice?
Yeah.
So what's he?
So
Why
he may have actually been looking for that chip.
Why do you need it out?
Well, let's talk about that before burying Molly. That didn't work because her body was found, and Mr. Carroll was arrested and convicted of causing unnecessary suffering to an animal. He was released on bail on February 24th. Meanwhile, Margaret and her stepdaughter, Catherine, couldn't leave the board alone and decided they really needed to try and contact Molly. Either the board or Molly told them they were all about to die, which the daughter told her neighbor, Donna. A few hours later, the house was completely engulfed in flames. Mrs. Sorbo, a witness, said this of the devastation. The fire was right up the way through the property. It was horrible. The roof was right up. We could not set up the street because of the smoke. There was a mini explosion, and one of the firefighters was blown back onto his back.
Wow.
How bad was it? Here's a report of a member of the fire department said. By the time the crew got there, it was really well developed, and we had to fight it from the rear. They did well enough because we could have lost other properties on both sides of it with how strong the fire was. The property itself was completely gutted. The roof was gone. The cause is still under investigation. It is listed still to this day as a suspicious fire.
Wow.
So suspicious indeed.
So no answers then.
The woman was taken to the hospital under severe critical condition. But this weird thing is, one of the medical records said that her condition was said not to be related to the fire.
Okay.
There was also, they were also arrested for arson with intent to endanger life. Mr. Carroll, who reported the severe learning, reportedly who had severe learning disabilities, one right here, and mental health problems is not a suspect. So the husband that killed the dog, dismembered it, buried it, and I think he buried it in a park, as far as I could find.
Yeah.
Is why he wanted it away. Somebody found the dog that was buried. He didn't get the chip out. He thought he did. While he was in jail, the house exploded and is listed still to this day as a suspicious fire, which means under investigation for arson.
Mm-hmm.
The wife was charged. Her severe injuries were not, as far as anybody can find, was not linked to the fire/explosion.
Okay.
Hours after the board said they were all going to die.
Right, yeah. It's a lot of weird things adding up.
It's a weird story.
Very.
And like I said, I use the Mysterious Universe article for this, but you can actually find this on many news organizations for the UK.
It's crazy that that dude got arrested for that with the dog. I mean, to be honest, if he drowned the dog, it wasn't going to be too much pain and suffering.
No, I think it was more that he dismembered, mutilated the body.
Yeah.
And then we have laws in the U.S. for that too.
Well, for common people, not for our
not for the
officials.
government.
Yeah,
But no, humane laws are very important to keep. I believe in eating animals, obviously, but I believe you put down an animal effectively,
humanely, yeah,
humanely, and then you don't disrespect the body.
Right. Yeah.
You eat it. It's giving you its life for you.
Or
So
you feed it to sandflies. While
that was
still alive.
that was a dog head.
A live dog head.
But yeah, I don't know. What do you think of the story?
I mean, it's weird.
Like I said, there's fire reports, police reports, and hospital, literal medical reports.
The weirdest part is that it's still under suspicious reasons.
I think I left out. I believe this was 17, and it's never been solved.
Since 2017? Okay, so this is a very recent story.
Oh yeah, no, I think both. I think the ones I got are pretty.
Yeah.
Last decade or two.
It's pretty surprising that because normally the fire department will find the cause or something. So for them to just say it's suspicious, man, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, no, the fire departments do a really, really good job of homing in.
Yeah,
What causes arson? I won't name names, but what's the title? The chief fire inspector. So that's the guy that goes in and actually figures out what started the fire.
right.
Was talking to me about some of the stuff they look for and stuff like that, and how to tell if it's an accidental fire versus an arson was very interesting.
I remember you told me some of those things.
Yeah, it was very interesting to hear. They have this nailed down, right?
Oh yeah.
They know whether you accidentally if you caught the pan on fire, it spilled the hot oil on the floor, right?
Right. Yep.
They can tell that versus you dumping gasoline,
Right.
and then starting a fire. Accelerants all leave tracks, and they have dogs that kind of on accelerants.
You can smell it. Yeah.
Yeah, and versus cooking oils and that, fires can start from 100 different things.
Oh yeah.
I had a guy actually was on Distractable podcast. They were talking. His fireplace kept turning on and off. He had a gas fireplace, but he's talking about ghost stuff. But it kept turning on and off. And then he had the guy come in, and whoever owned the house before him had wired it wrong. And it was literally underneath an active fireplace was live arcing a spark.
Oh, nice.
And he's like, yeah, you could have blown up any minute. Any minute you would have been sitting beside this thing, your whole house would have been gone.
He just had an auto flame going at.
Well, because it was every time it would spark, it would initiate the start and stop
Right. Yep.
of the ignition. But there was gas leaking under. It was bad. That's why I believe in doing a lot of your own jobs at home. Some jobs hire people.
Yes. For sure.
Mostly gas.
Mostly gas
And
yes.
high-powered electricity.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
You can do your own bathroom light. But wiring a kitchen stove, get somebody.
Yeah, for the most part.
Get somebody.
Gas is the main thing.
All right, next one's from Nick Redfern. We use a lot of his. He's been a researcher forever.
Very familiar name.
Lauren Carter was 36. She lived in New York and was employed by the post office when he interviewed her. She related to the details of the distinctly odd and unsettling series of occurrences that took place back in the mid-1985s. One of the particular warm summer nights, Lauren was said and three of her friends to come over to visit. Her parents were out of town, so the girls planned to have an evening of hanging out, playing music, drinking, and generally having a fun time. Yes, drinking and boards.
Great combo.
Mm-hmm.
Not.
At some point during the night, the discussion turned to horror movies, ghosts, spooks, and specters. The four girls decided to experiment at the old board they had found. Lauren admitted to Nick, none of them were seriously frightened by the board or the possibilities implicated, but they might transgress. In fact, they had no real idea even how to use the board apart from what they had seen in horror movies.
See, they're teaching us in Hollywood.
But like teenagers everywhere, they found the idea of playing with the board while mom and dad were gone a great idea of fun and immense excitement. However, the initial started out with as nothing more than a bit of late-night joking, had quickly turned into something far darker and much more disturbing. They all died.
Yeah, okay.
Largely improvising. As a result of their lack of knowledge of how to actually work the board, the four did their best, relying on familiar Hollywood imaginations. They pulled a wine glass out of the kitchen cupboard, placed their index finger on the top of it. I'm assuming they lost the planchette.
So this makes
and were soon immersed in their own planning a bit of fun. Question about boys, when they would marry, attempts to contact the dead relatives had followed. It just made me think about that video you were talking about.
Literally the same thing.
All to no avail, perhaps inevitably. However, Lauren said, something distinctly odd did occur. On 2 occasions, okay, they're playing with this board. On 2 separate occasions, the electricity in the house all went off and came back on.
Okay, well, that can happen. We've been in places where that's happened.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Which scared the living daylights out of the 4 friends. Not surprisingly, one might argue, taking into consideration their actions about the board. Lauren explained further that everyone got a weird vibe when the power was out. And even though nothing untowardly nature had occurred that night, it was all too late. The damage had been done. The doorway was unwittingly and ominously opened.
Okay.
So you're supposed to close after. There's always supposed to be a closing when you mess with these things.
Right.
I don't think you should mess with these things, period.
Right.
But the people that do mess with these things, you always have to close because you're opening a door. And we'll
can't leave the barn door open.
So the girls had left the door open. For that reason, Lauren admits that the day she cannot really explain nor understand, the feeling of fear and apprehension came over her. The next day progressed. The afternoon became early evening. And after her friends had all returned to their respective homes, once again, the electricity failed. Around 6 p.m., the dark, foreboding feeling began to take an even stronger hold on Lauren's mind. And so, after eating a hastily made sandwich, she decided to retire to a comfy, and so she thought at least, safety of her bedroom. Later that night, however, Lauren was woken from her deep sleep in the early hours. She heard what sounded like a loud, yet disturbing, animal-like scream emitting from the vicinity of a small, densely packed area of woodline that was situated near the rear of the family's home. Curiously, but cautiously, Lauren got out of bed, went to the window, and peered into the darkness of shadows. Nothing out of the ordinary could be seen, so she returned to bed and was soon asleep again, for a very short while at least. It was approximately 2 a.m. when Lauren was jolted from her slumber by what she described as the grossest smelling thing ever, like rotting cabbage. Ugh. Lauren put out her hand to turn on the lamp and sat on the small bedside table. She was horrified and panic-stricken by the sight of a silhouette of a large, black, hairy figure that was practically eclipsed by the shadows in the darkness of the room. Lauren said the creature was hunched over. It was huge, long arms, big white eyes. As I sat in my office, says Nick, and listened to Lauren tell this nightmare's tale, she added that very moment she tried to scream and let out a loud expression, and suddenly feeling of paralyzing. But she said, I was sitting up already, but I couldn't speak or move at all. So it can't be sleep paralysis because she had already sat up.
Right, yeah.
She recalled, and worse is still to come, the hairy giant slowly moved in Lauren's direction, stooped down over her, and brought its face within 8 or 9 inches of hers. The creature, Lauren said, was just like a Bigfoot. For barely several moments, the giant beast stared at her intently and deeply into her eyes, then slowly and carefully backed away until the point came where, in the dark mass, was almost indistinguishable from the shadows of the room. The strange figure ultimately disappeared, Lauren recalled. It's like it had been sucked back into the shadows. Notably, Lauren had added that although the beast was certainly scared her out of her wits, she did not get the feeling that it was in any way hostile towards her. Instead, in her opinion, the creature had appeared to warn her not to get mixed up with ghosts and demons or the board again.
Wow.
Unsurprisingly, since that day, Lauren has not.
Good.
And the beast has never again made a reappearance.
He was a warning.
A white-eyed, Bigfoot-like creature, so it's kind of halfway shadow person, halfway Bigfoot,
That's a weird one.
was in her room.
Yeah.
So she sits up, like, it smells horrible. She sits up,
Rotting cabbage.
which we've heard that with Bigfoot.
Yeah. I mean, cabbage is bad enough already, but
Cabbage stinks.
rotting cabbage.
Sits up, so it's not sleep paralysis. It walks over to her, gets right in her face, stares at her for several moments, and then melts back into the shadows.
It's unsettling.
After she played with the demon board.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that'd be my good indicator. Yeah, I'm done doing this.
It reminds me of my house, my old house.
Right, yeah.
Because we had the Bigfoot and all the paranormal stuff going on. So are they connected? Was one not linked the other? Or we don't, I still don't know. Which I just remember something crazy about that old house.
Uh-oh.
Me and my sister were looking at, it's for sale again. Or it was recently for sale again.
Jeez.
Like $31,000 for 25 acres and a 3-story house.
That's crazy.
Because you'll die if you buy it.
Let's buy it.
Yeah, right. But I forgot, like, we were talking about that the downstairs bathroom was painted like blood red.
Okay.
And I forgot about why it was. And I haven't talked to Mom about it since. But it kept getting like rust streaks on the walls, and we couldn't figure out why. So Mom just painted the room red.
Then you can't see them.
Yeah, the walls were literally like leaking blood. And we never thought about it. I never thought about it again until just recently. Because they're like, why is that bathroom so red? I'm like, because it used to streak red. So we painted it red. And I'm like, wait, that's a weird thing.
That's just what it wanted to be.
Yeah, no, it used to bleed. So what do you think about Bigfoot and the Ouija board?
It's pretty interesting. It's definitely the paranormal, side of Bigfoot. Because I've heard a couple stories, people catching them in their house or feeling them in their house or seeing them.
And stories.
Even seen photos. Someone has showed me photos of it too. That they've got a Bigfoot in their house, but like it's like that ghostly
halfway here, halfway not.
The shadow Bigfoot, yeah.
It's very weird. So I don't know. This goes to more of what we talked about with Bigfoot being the elemental kind of protector thing, and being like, "Hey, I live here too. Stop messing with these things."
Right. Just gets right in your face and just lets you know.
Because we've heard that 100 times.
Oh yeah.
People saying that these other bad entities, Bigfoot don't like them because they live there. Like,
right.
You get to leave. I have to sit here and deal with whatever comes out of this door.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's very unique. I thought you'd get a kick out of that one.
Yeah, that one's interesting. I mean, there's got to be some kind of connection though. There's just another data point, another example of. And
then the eyes were like, I seen some of her sketches of it. The eyes were like glowing white, like,
which is a weird feature too.
Almost some of the description we did our Angels episode. Some of that, like pure energy. So I don't know if it's like the more fey or elemental side.
It's got to be
being that big hairy beast and being like, "Hey, we live here."
Right? Yeah.
Don't
knock it off.
Those things suck.
Yeah, or if it's causing you some kind of disturbance. Where, what if it like hums a certain frequency we can't hear, and to them it's like excruciating.
So it's been kind of spooky so far, right? Have you been spooked?
Yeah, kinda.
All right. What if I tell you how many times these boards have killed people?
Oh, gosh. Then I'd probably be a little bit more spooked.
Because I told you about the one where the dog exploded from the husband.
Right.
And then the lady somehow had severely injured herself before her house caught fire, or that the board had done it. I don't know. I've read a lot of, when doing this episode, read a lot of descriptions of like them spinning, like the board spitting fire. Gosh. Like a flash explosion almost.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder if that's what happened to her and lit the house on fire.
It's hard saying. Or if that ghost Bigfoot was in there.
Well, she thought the board was warning her that they're all going to die in like a day. Or she's like, the board is warning us that, we're all going to die in a day. No, it's threatening you.
Yeah, you're going to die.
It's not, hey, be careful. You're going to die in the next 24 hours. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
In the next 24 hours.
It was a threat.
But we talked about that with the telepathic dog men.
Right, yeah.
These entities that probably aren't in the best interest.
They're pretty straightforward.
All right, you ready for some board killings?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I think so.
One of the early and most so I'm using some work from Brent Swanser for this. One of the early, most well-known so-called Ouija board murders began in the fall of 1929 when two seances from an Indian woman, and this is in their writing, not mine, from the Katawazak Reservation.
I don't know.
It's a Native American word, so forgive me. We have some Native American listeners. If anybody wants to write in of how I pronounce this, if I pronounce it phonetically, it's Catter Angus,
Okay.
like a cow. But I know that's not how it's pronounced.
It might be.
Reservation in western New York State near Buffalo in the United States. They sat down for a rather spooky session with the board. One was a 66-year-old traditional tribal healer, herbalist named Nancy Bowden. And the other was a 36-year-old reservation school teacher, Lily Jermison, both of whom were very curious as to what lied behind the mysterious death of Bowden's husband. Another tribal hero named I'm going to go with Sassafras Charlie.
Sure.
Sassafras Charlie, who had died recently under strange circumstances. During this session, they would later claim that the spirit of Bowden's dead husband had actually made contact with them and asserted that they had been murdered by a woman called Clothide. The alleged spirit even went as far to give a physical description of his killer and the address where she lived in the house in Riley Street in Buffalo. You know, that's what I've said about ghosts a lot of times. I don't really believe in true sense of ghost.
Yeah.
Like, give me some information. Like this one, like, oh yeah, here's what she looked like. Here's where she lives. She works at this deli.
Yeah.
Here's her hours.
Here's her work schedule this month.
Yeah. So, So the name was familiar to Jermison, who said that it was the wife of a gifted scholar from Paris named Harry Marchand, who lived in the reservation studying the cultures of Native Americans. So the spirit said that this guy's wife that studies Native American culture had killed him. He was another tribal healer and medicine man, a herbal healer. His wife's also one too.
But she killed him.
The wife of the Paris guy had killed him,
Okay.
is what he said. But yeah, so Marchand was well known for his incredible detailed drama. Oh gosh, I can't even say it. The real life 3-dimensional diagrams of miniature scenes of historical cultural events.
Dioramas?
Yeah, dioramas. Thank you. So he created dioramas for museums
Oh, cool.
about these Native American cultures. Well, maybe not.
Oh.
Keep my 1929 dealing with Native Americans on a reservation. It's not great,
Oh, okay.
at least for the Native Americans.
No, probably not.
Sorry. Scenes where nature, history, crafted and version material, wax figures, merged in case glass. Indeed, he had studied in Europe under the famous master sculptor. What are you doing? You just disappeared.
What do you mean I disappeared?
Yeah, you just went behind the iPad. Sculptor Rodin. Stop it. We're professionals.
I'm sorry, I had to stretch.
Anyways, he was getting ready. He had a commission to make more displays for the grand opening of the Buffalo Science Museum in 1929. It was for that purpose he was researching these dioramas of the merchant and his family, which consisted with the wife Clothide, who was accomplished printer herself, and his 4 children who had arrived in the reservation in the first place. Jermison claimed to not only have known these family for nearly 10 years, but also have worked with him personally in the capacity of models of his work. In the days after the seance, Bowden began to receive mysterious letters from a person calling himself Mr. Dooley, who elaborated more about the death of Sassafras and claimed that the secrets about what really was going on. The series of letters spoke of witchcraft, hexes, black magic, murders, suggested that Clothide was in fact a witch. So that's the diorama guy's wife.
This is definitely like an old movie plot, ain't it?
1929.
With Sassafras Charlie and
Well, that's a Native American name.
still, but I mean, it's got all the characters and all the elements of an old
One of the mysterious letters said this: I know something secret. I decided I'd be better to tell you and help you out what I can. This is what Charlie Bowden is killed by a witch in the city of Buffalo. It was a French woman. She killed Charlie because he had good medicine to sell in the city. Her witchcraft didn't work so good, so she decided to kill him. She killed many that way, Indians and whites. Once again, written in 1929.
right, yeah.
But let me tell you more. She said she fixed another doll the same way his wife Nancy. That's how the letter is written. By all accounts, Bowden took these letters very seriously and convinced that not only was Clothide responsible for the murder of her husband, she was an evil woman and planning to come next. The idea that a French woman was a witch was rather far engraved into her mind by the fact that Clothide was well known to collect mushrooms in the forest, which was a common practice of Europeans, but strange and alien to a lot of the Native Americans of that area, with Bowden referring to these as strange hellish vegetables. Partly out of the revenge-fueled rage and partly out of fear of what would happen if nothing was done about the witch, Bowden went out to purchase a hammer and a batch of chloroform before setting off to where the witch had lived to express her desires of extinguishing her life and putting an end to the sinister curse.
With a hammer?
And chloroform.
You're going to knock her out and then beat her with a hammer?
I believe that is the plan. When the oblivious Clothide went to answer the doorbell March 7, 1930, she was met with the sight of an elderly Native American woman she did not know, who pointed to her violently and proclaimed her to be a witch. Bowden then brutally murdered her with a hammer, shoved the chloroform-soaked rag into the dead French woman's throat just to be sure. The body was found in Clothide's horrified 12-year-old son. When he returned home from school, and he immediately ran to the Buffalo Museum of Science to inform his father what had happened. When the authorities investigated, they were able to ascertain that 2 Native American women had been hanging around the area before the attack, one older, one younger, perhaps casing the house and asserting what the situation was. This also soon learned that the man's connection to Lily Germanson. It came out that the two had been having an affair.
Oh.
So the young Native American lady and the diorama guy had been having an affair.
Mm.
The board had told the older Native American woman that her husband was killed by the diorama guy's wife.
Wife. So
she murdered his wife.
So
hold on. I know you got the pieces.
Yeah. Keep going.
What was I saying? Oh, first denied that it had been proven any cache of love letters was discovered. So they were like, no, that's not happening. A lot of love letters were discovered. They were having an affair. When Germanson was brought up in a suspect, she told the police that Bowden's involvement, and Bowden was arrested as well. When it was found out that she had rather damning evidence of the blood-laid strips on her clothes and earpieces of glass that she had kept from the dead Clothide. Additional questions showed that the day of the killing, Germanson had called the husband and asked him to take a ride in the car with her, during which time it was assumed that Bowden had gone and done the dark deed. So there's a lot to this. Most likely what happened is Germanson lied with the board.
Right.
To convince the older Native American woman that her husband, Sassafras, had been murdered by Clothide.
Right. But in reality,
she probably wanted Clothide to kill her. She wanted the older Native American to kill Clothide to get to the husband so that she could pretty much be married.
Right.
Had to kill the old wife.
To free him up.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And there was all kinds of stuff with the trial. Like, this went on forever. This trial became known as like the Ouija board murders or the Ouija board murder. Ethnic slurs, racism, terms for the Native Americans, Indians using witchcraft. Like, this became such a thing that it was the Germanson using the older Native American woman to get what she wanted in life.
Right, yeah.
Just like a lot of the Salem witch trial stuff.
Oh, yeah. Very similar.
And it turned into a bloody, all-out battle with racist and like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, not good.
No.
Not good for humanity.
And it goes on and on and on. But let's talk about some stuff. And I have like 10 more of these things, but maybe, I don't know, eventually, maybe next Halloween.
Maybe we'll sneak it into some Patreon episodes.
Maybe we'll sneak into some Patreon. So let's talk about what's happening with the boards.
Okay.
So I have a whole bunch of things, but first off, I mean, what are some of your thoughts over so far? We've talked an hour about these things.
I just feel like the act itself, like the board itself may not be bad, but when you're using it as a medium to communicate with whatever it is on the other side or another dimension, or you're empowering it, or you're putting energy into the board, which then
yeah, go on. Sorry.
it just then gives the whatever entity that is something to anchor here to hold on to here to communicate. Then I don't know, but
The
I don't know how
active
that stuff.
intention is, I think, what you're saying.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I mean, most religions, including Christianity, talk about the act of intention. Mm-hmm. When you pray, you are praying with intent.
Tension, right?
You can have hollow prayer, which a lot of people do. It's just they're just doing it to do it, right?
Right,
They don't think it's going anywhere. They don't think anybody's hearing them.
Right.
They don't care. So that's not a real, as far as that's because they're not a real prayer. Mm-hmm. And that's, so the act of intention, the act of actually, if you're praying, you're actually praying to God. You believe God is hearing you. And, whether you get a response back or not, that's not up to you.
Right.
But you are believing you're doing your side of it.
Yep.
I think a lot of this is the same thing to an extent, where, like you were saying, like it's not really about the board itself. I think we just had a long talk with our friend Ward
Okay.
about like spirit boxes,
Yeah.
and like the frequency changers.
Oh yeah.
I think they're all the same with these boards.
Not good.
I don't think they're good.
Right,
'Cause
I don't think
it's
so
the
either.
intent is even if you aren't communicating directly, the intent is to allow communication.
Yes.
The problem with that is you have no idea who's on the other end of the line. Any of the serious the paranormal investigators will tell you, never, ever, ever believe whatever they say they are on the other side.
Right. Yeah.
And we talked about Annabelle was a perfect example. I believe she was dealt with one of these boards.
That possessed doll.
Well, yeah, but first it was a little girl, and she was asking if she could stay, and they gave her permission. And
Yeah.
They gave her a doll to inhabit, and that's when she became the demon side showed.
Right. Yeah.
So it was pretending to be a vulnerable thing.
A good thing.
Yeah. So the first thing I have on my little list is correlation without causation. These things are just happening. They're not really connected to the board, like the lights flickering. Like it's more of that, what did I say that the psychologist had termed it? Basically, that the collective consciousness, you all are agreeing to do these things. Anything that happens is not real, or at least not connected. Right?
Okay.
The lights just happen to flicker the same night.
Coincidence.
Yeah. Especially, like you said, we've been in houses that lights flicker. Older houses, especially.
Oh yeah.
Didn't mean they were haunted, but the one I'm thinking of was.
Well, let's not count that one then.
But no, but you can be somewhere where the lights flicker. Like one of the places we were in Chicago, where it's really close to the train tracks, and lights would flicker every time.
Train
Big
would go
would
through.
pass.
Oh yeah.
And it's just because it was literally they're so heavy that they're shaking the ground, shaking the lights. So I don't know. I really don't know. What do you think about this?
Oh, there's always coincidence is always a thing, but overall, I'm sure there probably was something that had to do with it, with messing around doing a seance with a Ouija board. Doesn't help.
It doesn't help. No. My next one is kind of a build up on this, the imagination running wild.
Okay.
Where we talked about that it's very hard for large groups to imagine the same thing.
Yeah.
But most of these stories are 2, 3, and 4 people.
Yeah,
most
all
of the time.
experiencing it.
So what if these? I don't know. I guess that it's just a step up above that they are imagining, or maybe even we've talked about like I'm forgetting the word.
Manifesting?
Yeah, but manifesting. When you manifest, what's the creatures you manifest?
Creatures you manifest?
And I'm forgetting the word. Tulpas.
Tulpas, there you go. Yes.
Kind of like the tulpa line,
Yeah.
where you are putting so much energy. If you're personal, whatever, psychic or spiritual, and whatever, you're putting so much of that energy towards this thing that it's kind of causing these things to happen.
Right.
So there's not a quote unquote entity or grandparent or whatever on the other side. It's literally like the Ghostbusters style, where they were talking about like human emotions affect these things and the spiritual world reacts.
Right, yeah.
So what if there's something like that the lights flickering is you because you're having a panic attack, but there's 4 of you focusing on one thing.
One thing doing it.
Yeah.
I bet that can play a factor in this, because I don't know the power of that. So almost like that CE5 stuff, which I don't know. Like I know people. There's results. Like there's things happening, but what is it? Is something really coming in, or is it all of you focusing on the one thing and it's just manifesting something? It's changing like actual reality. I don't know.
Changing reality.
Is that from something?
No, it's just.
Oh,
I don't know. It's just making a noise.
it sounds like it should be though. If I go on a cartoon.
Yeah, I really don't know. My next one, my second to last one, opening in dimensional portals. that this isn't heaven or hell. Like Alistair was talking about, they were actually connecting to angels, which I do not believe.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion.
Right.
There's plenty of Aleister Crowley scholars that believe the exact opposite. I'm not a scholar. But you're not connecting to heaven or hell or anything like that. You're actually connecting to side dimensions. Like we talked about with like even Point Pleasant. That when these portals are opening up, like the Men in Black, those strange Men in Black and the Mothman and like the Enfield Horror, these hellish looking creatures sometimes are just things from somewhere else. Like they're not good or bad. They can individually be good or bad, but as a group, they don't really have a set default.
Right.
So what if it's that you're connecting? There may be a girl that's blue with 3 arms that's playing with the board on the other side, and you're talking to them.
I don't want to think about that.
What?
A blue girl with 3 arms playing with a Ouija board trying to contact us.
But yeah, we may, you may be doing it. The noises you hear, and like the questions and stuff like that, and you're responding, is that what's happening? And are you letting things in from that side?
I imagine you are, but I just think it's even the things from the side dimensions, I kind of think of the ups and downs, like heaven and hell is kind of how I think that way.
So I'm talking about the sides,
right?
These parallels. So what I guess I'm saying is they don't necessarily have to be good, and they don't necessarily have to be evil. They can be very evil. When we talk about some of the Men in Black and what we believe the Greys, and
just like people here,
just like people,
yeah,
right. But like Mothman, I am 100% a believer that the Mothman was harmless. It was scared.
Yeah,
it was just a thing. It was just a thing that was trying to survive.
It just happened to have radiation poisoning.
I mean, it would just happen to be very radioactive.
Yeah.
Which is not its fault inherently.
No. It's born this way.
So I guess like those things, is this a way to drag those things over? Is it like a mini door, like we talked about the Point Pleasant?
Yeah.
Like the tank. What if they were Stranger Things, and
shooting the beam and opening the door?
Actually opening. Yeah. Is this a way to psychically do it on a much smaller scale?
It kind of seems like it, doesn't it?
I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it kind of does seem like it. If that's how that stuff actually works, you're opening a doorway, you're by just communicating with these things. But I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's a logical step to take or to stance to have on it to explain it.
My chair keeps going down.
It's slowly sinking.
I think it's more of an insult on me than anything.
Oh.
All right.
As long as it's not the Ouija powers moving it.
I don't think so.
Very good.
The last one I have, at least, is demons.
Yes.
Demons.
Yep.
You're contacting demons.
Yep.
And like I said, it's
not grandma.
I cut 8 stories out of this episode because we're already over an hour 10.
Yeah.
So they're just in my one little thing. Just for the murders, I have another 8 stories.
Gosh, yeah. We'll definitely save them for Patreon.
So we could do a whole episode on just the board murders.
Ouija board murders.
Where the boards have told them to kill, or people they feel possessed.
What was this last explanation again?
Demons.
Oh, that's right. That tracks.
Demons.
Kill, possess.
Like we talked about the lady with the dog. And that was on all over the news. Sorry. And that was, I had it 2014. So if anybody wants to look it up. And he had he had buried it behind a pub.
Wow.
So I found out So he wanted it really far away from his house.
He buried it behind the bar.
So was that bored? She's like, well, it was warning us that we're going to die in 24 hours. No, it was the demon screaming, I'm going to kill you in 24 hours.
Not warning you, telling you.
Possess the dog, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of these board stories go to like sacrificing levels and stuff like that.
Gosh.
And is that, you can fall back on it. That's the human side of it. It's where we think the occult's going to go. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of guiding our own story towards that.
Right.
With the imagination or just, moving the planchette that way.
Right.
Or is it these demons are actually coming through?
Guiding it.
And like I said, the horror stories involved and everything like that. We went pretty mild on the ones I could find.
Yeah.
Like the Native American murders were bad.
Let's do that for Patreon.
I have a different thing for Patreon for Halloween.
Well, I mean, just in general. We'll just do Ouija board murders, like Native American Ouija board murder. I don't know.
Well, that was the one we already did.
Oh yeah, the Sassafras Charlie. Yeah. I mean, demons. Demons. That's what I think.
That's what I think it is.
I think so too.
But I'm also a guy that doesn't believe in actual ghost as far as in human souls being trapped on Earth. I do think you can be visited by loved ones. I think that's very different, though.
Yeah.
My big rule is they should not be trying to interfere with any part of your life.
No, but checking in on you or just
A lot of times it's
giving
more
you
of
a
feeling,
reminder. Yeah.
Right? What I believe is true is, the reminder, the feeling,
Like
the comfort.
smelling of the grandma's perfume.
That's the best,
Yep.
That's more just, hey, I'm here for you. That
To
kind of deal.
comfort. To comfort you. Yeah.
Yeah. But not, not that they're like, there's some of these stories where, we were talking about it before, that the ones were like, my dad's here, but why would your dad be trying to scare you?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, what would that? There's no point in that,
Right?
Then it stopped.
I don't know. Whether demons or not. Yeah, I'm gonna lean towards that as a majority of what this is.
Of the accounts
Yes.
that get bizarre pretty quick.
Yes.
There's hundreds. Like I said, this one was one of the Sometimes they have trouble researching episodes, finding stories. This was not one that was hard to find.
Thousands
Bad stories, as far as in that they turn bad.
And I wish I could remember the entire story, but my friend Gilbert was telling me stories one night, and he said when they were younger, he was at his friend's house and they had a Ouija board, and I can't remember exactly what all was happening, but just weird stuff was happening, and I think his friend's mom decided they're just getting rid of it, and he said he watched her. They had a burn barrel out back.
I remember you telling me that, yeah.
And when she took the Ouija board, he said when they threw it in that fire, the burn barrel, immediately it exploded. Like huge flaming fireball went up out of the barrel. Like it was
That's not the only time I've heard that either.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not supposed to burn them. If you're ever going to get rid of one, I think
bury it.
Well, contact your pastor first, or whatever religion you are. I don't care.
Yeah,
but contact whoever you hold in spiritual regard, and bury it. Is the best way.
I think
you're supposed to seal it and bury it.
I think the rule is where you get a giant Culligan jug, has to be Culligan, and you roll it up and shove it down in there and hermetically seal it with a beeswax seal.
You get some piranha solution.
Oh, there we go. No, then you're releasing it again.
No, I think that'll eat the demon too. Have you ever seen it when they throw a ham in it?
No.
You know what piranha solution is, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah. You taught me what it is.
Oh my gosh. I seen a video, a guy made a gallon of it through a ham, like a ham with a bone in it.
Oh my gosh.
3 minutes.
Gone.
And it was more that it just took that long to get all of it into liquid.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, that'll clear your shower drain.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't eat. So it really doesn't like organic materials.
Oh, it doesn't.
It will eat some metals and plastics, but it's much more reactionary with like organic materials.
Oh, it likes organic.
It doesn't like organics. That's as far as that's who it has violent reactions with.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It's organic based materials.
Okay.
So plastics, papers, meat.
Of course, meat.
But no, hundreds of horror stories of these things. I'm seriously reading this, and you can say whatever about Reddit. I didn't include any of the Reddit ones in here because I had enough doing the other sources.
Yeah. But
seriously, the Reddit ones, there's probably 10,000. And about every 5, I'd see one with the fireball.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a zeitgeist thing and people are making it up and, that's just something that sticks. Or if that's really happening.
Yeah.
Or every once in a while these things shoot up a fireball.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the story I told you, they actively tried to destroy it. So once it hit fire, that's when it exploded. So something released out of it.
Yeah. And you could say that there was some gas. I don't know. You can say whatever. I just want to say, once again, it's the official Mystery J. Clone, Cryptids of Corn stance.
Don't.
Bat Mucket Studios.
Yes.
Do not mess with the Ouija board. Do not buy one. Do not participate. These things, like I said, I've read hundreds of horror stories where they latch onto you for years.
Ain't worth it.
Years.
Ain't
these
good.
Things.
It ain't good for you.
Even Bigfoot warned a lady about it.
That's right. That should be your call right there.
Bigfoot hates the Ouija boards.
Yeah.
But if you ever do, which I highly recommend you do not, make sure you close it. The organizations I found that even talk about how to properly use it, that's like always the top, the big red letters.
Close the door.
Close it after.
Yeah.
Because and then it's kind of like the exaggerated version of what Aleister Crowley did at Loch Ness, opening the Black Cabin.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It was literally the big version, and he didn't shut the door all the way. That's where they think, I think it was Lamb, which is the big-headed alien looking thing.
Yeah.
And in his words, the Loch Ness monster got out of.
Right, yeah. Ugh.
Not great.
No.
So happy Halloween.
Yeah.
Be safe out there. You know, watch your kids. You know, everybody have fun, but just be safe. You know, this is the time where people aren't watching kids. They run out in front of the roads, and as on a bigger trick or treater route, it happens every year.
Yeah.
And so just, you know, be smart and be safe, but have fun.
And don't eat too much candy.
I've literally drank a coffee that's about
Enjoy the Reese's
30%
eggs.
sugar.
Enjoy it while they're here.
I have been the great and powerful Mr. E.
And I've been Jay, Clone 79.
And we'll catch you next week, guys.
Bye. I think...
Hey guys, thank you for listening to Cryptids the Corn podcast. Remember, the best way to support the show is share it with a friend. But if you are craving more of the J clones
And more from Mr. E.
there's always extra content on Patreon.
And our paid member space on cryptidsofthecorn.com.
We'll catch you next time with more exciting, fun, and informative information. Bye.